The expectations around Sonic 4 are too high for a spin-off to meet. However, many fans have been impatient for the story to end, and they have commended Episode 2 as a strong sequel that can stand alone. They might finally learn what Episode 3 might have been thanks to the current leak. Numerous details on the upcoming video game film franchise have already been released, and the cherished blue speedster is poised to make a comeback in Sonic the Hedgehog 4. The Sonic the Hedgehog film series, which is based on the Sega game's title character, follows Sonic and his friends Tails and Knuckles as they attempt to foil Dr. Robotnik's Jim Carrey evil schemes. Sonic and the group battle transformations of Robotniks and their newest partner, the incredibly strong Shadow the Hedgehog, voiced by Keanu Reeves, who seeks to wipe out the entire planet in the most recent adventure. After two enjoyable and well-loved sequels, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 represents a more dramatic turn for the franchise and received great reviews from reviewers via Rotten Tomatoes. In addition to all of that, the most recent Sonic film debuted the beloved Shadow and hinted at even more intriguing game characters in its conclusion. Work is already in progress to bring the beloved video game back to the big screen, and all of that adds up to a fourth installment. Even though Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is still a ways off, work is already accelerating. The most recent information confirms Sonic the Hedgehog 4's release date, and the impending fourquel is already progressing quickly. The film was initially aiming for a 2027 release date, but that window has now been reduced to March 19, 2027. Accordingly, the fourth installment will be released a little over 2 years after the third. Between now and then, though, a release date adjustment is always feasible. Sonic 4's Episode 3 is set up by the leaked ending, a trimmed conclusion for Sonic the Hedgehog. Episode 2 was the main benefit discovered in the leak. An unintentionally published beta build of Sonic the Hedgehog 4 from April 21, 2012 already has the post-credit sound for this cutscene. Given that it sounded like a Chaos Emerald, there was considerable fan conjecture as to what this might have been used for. But fans can now relax knowing the audio track's actual purpose. After Sonic and Tails destroy the Egg Heart, the Death Egg MK2 is shown drifting across space and gradually losing power as the base game's credits roll. This is referred to as Cutscene 9A in the files. The rumored Sonic finale, known as Cutscene 9C, probably came later as a post-credits scene showing the space station being rebuilt using the Master Emerald's power. The presence of Knuckles, who appears to be helping Eggman, may be more unexpected than the explanation of the sound that fans heard all those years ago. Details of the Sonic the Hedgehog 4 story, a new enemy, and a new friend. Unsurprisingly, Sonic the Hedgehog 3's climax was ambiguous and, aside from concluding a few plot lines, primarily set up the conflict in Sonic 4. The Earth was rescued from the Eclipse Cannon by Dr. Evo Robotnik and Shadow, who turned on the far more malevolent Dr. Gerald Robotnik. Regretfully, it appears that doing so cost them both their lives. It was shown that Shadow had lived, although it remained unclear what had happened to Dr. Robotnik. As Sonic and the group deal with the aftermath of losing their longtime foe, who has now become an ally, this can have consequences in the follow-up. In Sonic the Hedgehog 4, it would make the most sense for Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy Rose, and maybe even Shadow to battle the robotic impersonators while attempting to figure out who made them in the first place. They might not have much time to consider it though, for in the mid-credits scene, an army of robotic Sonics appeared, and Amy Rose's hammer was the only thing that rescued him. Amy Rose could also cause tension in the group, and the addition of a comparable adversary threatens the careful equilibrium that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles have established. She might also fall in love with Sonic based on Amy Rose from the games, which might make their relationship of saving the world even more complex. Additionally, the Wachowskis will be incorporated in some way, and Tom will participate in Sonic the Hedgehog 4 now that he has recovered from the events of Sonic 3. The mid- and post-credit scenes in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. We have far more exciting news. Let's begin with the mid-credit scene, in which Ben Schwartz's character, Sonic, unintentionally speeds across the nation to New York State, where he is greeted by several metal Sonics. A pink blur with a hammer and an attitude shows up just when it seems like there is no hope left. Indeed, Amy Rose is her name. In the meantime, we are shown a familiar-looking scene in the post-credits sequence, a smoking crater holding only a golden bracelet. A gloved hand purposefully picks up a very recognizable trainer as it enters the frame of vision. One thing is evident, despite the painful music. Keanu Reeves's character, Shadow the Hedgehog, made it through. Let's dissect this in detail, beginning with Amy's appearance in the mid-credits sequence of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Her appearance and that of the Metal Sonic Army are not coincidental. Both characters debuted on the Sega platform in Sonic CD, released in 1993. Although she is older than the game shows, I believe that Sonic's time-traveling trip from the Sega CD may be coming to reality because of the enemy she encountered in the gloomier setting of gloomy New York State. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 will need a temporary leader if our hero Hedgehog is in the dystopian future realm. This implies that Shadow and Knuckles, Idris Elba, two characters, will likely argue over who gets to be the leader of Team Sonic. Furthermore, this possible thread leads to a strong argument for how things ought to go moving ahead. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 needs a new villain, just as good as Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik. Since the launch of the franchise with Sonic the Hedgehog in 2020, Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik has been one of its greatest features. Even though the movie wasn't very noteworthy, Carrey's performance in the part helped the series develop into what it is today. Because of his character growth across the three Sonic 3 films, he was unquestionably the best member of the cast for his dual roles in the movie. To live up to the previous standards, Sonic 4 will need to offer a comparable adversary. The absence of a main antagonist for the franchise following Robotnik's passing poses a significant challenge for the next films in the series. A major factor in the success of the original 3 films was Eggman's constant appearance, and Sonic 4 will need to feature a villain akin to Eggman to live up to the hype. The series can feel like it is only dragging its feet with no clear finish in sight if the film doesn't feature someone like that. Sonic 4 will need to come up with a new angle for Robotnik, even if he makes a comeback. Robotnik might have lived to reach Sonic 4, much as he did when he escaped from the wrecked Eggman robot in Sonic 2, even though the movie's end suggests that he is unquestionably dead because the Eclipse cannon exploded while he was on it. Even if he didn't, Jim Carrey might be able to make a comeback thanks to a clone or possibly an Eggman from the future. However, bringing him back might be as challenging as finding a replacement because, if done poorly, it might be disastrous for subsequent projects. Since the gameplay usually takes center stage, the Sonic the Hedgehog video games frequently accomplish this, merely hurling the same baddies at the wall repeatedly with no fanfare. It will feel cheesy, and as though all Eggman went through in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was for nothing, if they try to reintroduce him as essentially the same character from the first 2 films. Nevertheless, the Sonic film crew has demonstrated their abilities, so there's a decent chance they could do this plot justice. There are a ton of various directions that Sonic 4 may take, especially since many of the video game characters have yet to be shown on the big screen. Although we don't yet have a teaser or storyline, we do have a release date and a number of theories. Sonic fans have some ideas on what the 4th chapter might be about, even though Paramount hasn't yet published an official synopsis. Robotnik perished in the Eclipse cannon explosion, while Team Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Tom, and Maddie survived Sonic 3. However, things didn't end there. In addition to introducing a number of Metal Sonics and a new character named Amy Rose, the Sonic 3 post-credits scene verifies that Shadow survived the last battle. Although Shadow's face is not shown in the snippet, we do see him take one of his gold wrist cuffs out of a crater. We can go to the shoes anywhere. Could Sonic 4 then focus on the battle between the Mechanical Army and the spiky speedster? Amy Rose will probably turn out to be an ally, but what about Shadow? Shadow ended up before Sonic in saving the world at the end of the previous film, even though he was the main antagonist during the second one. Is he going to continue to be a do-gooder? Amy Rose nearly had a larger part in Sonic 3 than the mid-credits sequence, according to writers Pat Casey and Josh Miller, who recently told Games Radar Plus that they have a great plan for the game's future. Next up is Robotnik. According to leaked concept art, Sonic 3 was originally supposed to include a parallel universe or show the bald villain traveling across time. Metal Sonic is also seen standing close to Emperor Eggman in one picture. May this be a plot point explored in Sonic 4 instead? It's definitely feasible, and it would continue the current pattern of Sonic video games serving as inspiration for its films. It goes without saying that Sonic 3 was a loose adaptation of Sonic 3. Metal Sonic's introduction could indicate that the series is getting closer to Sonic CD territory. Sonic raced through different eras in the 1993 game to prevent Eggman and his heavy Metal Sonic from ruling over a bad future. Cast of Sonic 4. Similar to the synopsis, Paramount has not yet made the cast list public. We may speculate as to which characters will make a comeback, though, given how Sonic 3 concluded. View our anticipated cast roster below. Naturally, Schwartz's return as Sonic won't come as a surprise, because without him, a Sonic movie wouldn't exist. This also applies to Sonic's human buddies Tom and Maddie, as well as Sonic's closest pals, Tails and Knuckles. Regarding the antagonists, we never saw a body in Sonic 3, but Robotnik seems to have passed away at the conclusion. And that opens the door for his potential comeback, as all moviegoers are aware. The franchise would be severely lacking without Carrey, the actor who has starred in all three of the Sonic films to far, even though the creators had a list of Sonic's foes from the Sonic games to pick from. We also don't know if we'll ever see Reeves's shadow again, despite the fact that it seems more plausible now that we know he's still alive. A few faces from the games have already been requested by fans to appear in the series as new characters. Although Amy and Metal Sonic are set, don't be shocked if Rouge and other new characters appear in the customary post-credits scene. To stay informed about any cast announcements, be sure to bookmark this tab. Is there a trailer for Sonic 4? Regretfully, there isn't currently a teaser or even a trailer for Sonic 4. 4 months before the premiere of the film, on August 27, 2024, Paramount Pictures unveiled the first complete Sonic 3 trailer. These estimates indicate that the Sonic 4 trailer will be released anytime between late 2026 and early 2027. However, we are secretly hoping for a teaser a bit sooner. For more, check out our picks of the best video game movies of all time, or keep up with other upcoming movies. Also, remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Thanks for watching. Bye.